This is a picture of Bill Clinton with his arm around Michael Jackson, and that apparently is Diana Ross in the image. Now we can just go ahead and just zoom in a little bit here. And this is what was presented as being, quote unquote, part of the Epstein Transparency Act concerning a case against Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you're not aware of this, this is to deliberately imply that those squares represent where minor children were. And the idea is that you have to have the Clintons involved. You have to have Michael Jackson. And hey, let's throw Diana Ross under the bus too. Now, some of you already know for a fact that the people covered up in that image, the three people covered up that were minors at the time, those are the children of Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, respectively, from right to left, or left to right, whatever. You already know that. And as soon as it was posted, this is a redacted version here, readers added context. This is a publicly available picture taken at a 2003 Democratic fundraiser. Yes, I cobbled it together to make it fit the screen. This image has been resized to fit your screen for your viewing pleasure. So let's zoom in one more notch just to make it more obnoxious. And that's the full-sized image. Now we're going to go ahead and go forward. This is the image a lot clearer, so you can tell that it is very likely, if not absolutely, Diana Ross and Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton, and someone else is taking the photo. And it's in a cramped, basically a caravan, aka trailer, for people to get dressed in and stuff like that. Now, this is a modified version of the one that's on the website it came from, and I modified it by covering their faces because I am not letting one of the people who would desperately like to get after me flag my channel for showing pictures of a kid that was redacted by a federal worker. Okay, that's not going to happen today. So if any of you were waiting for one of us to post a picture that wasn't edited or redacted, but you are allowed to do it if you show someone else reposting it. Yes, I looked up YouTube's rules on reporting of events in the world. It's labeled, and yes, I cut and pasted this from the lower right-hand corner, EFTA, Epstein File Transparency Act, and then it's picture number 3367. Now, I want to point out that you have to, this is like saying somehow that the United States government is completely incompetent and yet can execute things as crazy as weather manipulation. They have to be absolutely God level, pun intended, God level powerful, but absolutely powerless against some random yokel on, in Tennessee looking stuff up on pictures and saying, hey, I saw a squiggly part of this picture. All right? This doesn't make any fucking sense. And those of you who really believe or subscribe to that belief system, just don't even comment. It's not going to post. Out of 3,300 pictures, we found at least one that's been grossly and overtly falsified to imply things. Well, this is part of an investigation. No, it's not. It never could be. There are they're redacted. Joseph and Paris, otherwise known as another name for him, not Joseph. Paris Jackson, Joseph, and his extra name is also used. Evan Ross, Diana Ross's kid. Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson. This is a picture of Bill Clinton at a political meeting in that year, 2003, December 19th in Washington, D.C., meeting Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, and their kids. And it also has the ID code 10250597 The image was taken by Jonathan Axley for a, quote, self-assignment, acting probably as an independent reporter. And yes, I covered up the part that says Getty image credit, blah, 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 Axley, because, again, if there's a federal work, even if it's a falsified one, covering up children's faces or redacting them or making them anonymous, and you post an unredacted version, that can technically be used as an argument on a YouTube channel by somebody who hates the channel to get the channel flagged. All right? Now, let me repeat this. The U.S. federal government has not always been a source of evil and lies. That takes a shit ton of work. You have to have a massive conspiracy within the U.S. government of multiple agencies to do the bidding of someone who has dirt on them or is threatening them or has been a credible threat by actually punishing people. That would describe the current administration. That does not describe Obama. That does not describe Biden. That does not describe Clinton, Hillary, or otherwise. By the way, some of you might have noticed that Donald Trump has been screaming about the evil doings during certain years by the U.S. government, by the evil president, when he was president, because he's going loco. Now, why are you dwelling on this? Why are some of you still dwelling on Hillary Clinton's email server when it has been definitively proven that she did not erase anything successfully? Because in order for her to succeed in erasing something on her email server, it would have to have never been sent to anybody. Logic doesn't work with a lot of people. Midas touch. The White House has been caught. The administration inserted a photo of Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and, it should be added, their children into the Epstein files to falsely imply it showed them with victims. Lying by omission. It's a publicly available fundraiser photo featuring Jackson and Ross with their own children. Because that's quite literally what it is. Now, this video, normally I don't address anything to conservatives. I don't care. A lot of you have proven that you can't be trusted. A lot of you have proven that come hell or high water, you will find ways to cause an enormous amount of strife and derision in your community and in the world for some perceived goal of gaining something that you can't even describe, but basically boils down to power and intimidation. Some of you are like that, some of you are not. I'm addressing every single conservative that might watch my channel. Are you willing to acknowledge this is an example of implying a false assertion by associating it with the Epstein files? Yes, I'm aware of the accusations at one point against Michael Jackson. I understand that. What we're not talking about here is some FEMA camp, repurpose the Walmarts, turn everybody against themselves, Civil War II electric boogaloo. Yes, I'm using the wording that'll set off the goddamn AI bot. I'm rolling to risk it this time. I'm not talking about that bullshit that some of you have been absorbing for literally 2 decades or more. IR old fart. I was born in 1968. I was born at the beginning of the technological revolution you're soaking in, and in the beginning of the part of the sexual revolution and the women's rights revolution and all of them. I am a product of that time. I am nearing 60. Okay? I was born in 1968. Go ahead and do the math. I literally have gotten old enough I don't want to do the math anymore. The point is, I've been alive throughout the period of time where this sort of bullshit indoctrination has been happening, not to the liberals. Yes, you can complain about woke culture and all that shit. In the past and even currently, I would object to a lot of things that are being proposed and shoved and pushed as narratives by one side, supposedly my side, the liberals. I agree with some of that sentiment, okay? I am not going to agree with any conservatives anymore, and I'm not going to stop holding your feet to the fire about you being complicit because of your implicit tolerance of this bullshit. This is a picture of 2 parents with their kids meeting with Bill Clinton at a fundraiser in Washington, D.C. in 2003. You might want to remember what happened that year. Okay? This is not something that should be in the Epstein files. This is publicly available images. And yes, again, I redacted this because somebody will pull a dirty trick and flag me for having unredacted images of a kid when a federal government agency did so. Again, Midas Touch pointed out that this is them deliberately implying that they are with victims and that they're criminals. Because the narrative, the only people pushing a narrative has to be and always will be the people who are lying at this point. And that group of people are the conservatives. This is not an image that should be considered part of proof concerning Epstein. Readers added context. This was on Blue Sky or on Twitter. I don't care which. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, the DOJ specifically ignored, included something that had nothing to do with it, unless it was a picture that, like maybe it's a framed picture that Epstein had for some reason. I don't know. They're not giving context. The DOJ and this current administration are the ones redacting the living shit out of everything. Yes, you can point out that Obama and Biden and whoever else you want on the liberal side also had an incident happen where stuff was redacted. Literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages that would provide evidence that might imply that Donald Trump isn't squeaky clean is the example we're talking about. We're not talking about previous incidents where a lot of you are going to have a lot of trouble finding that. You're going to have a lot of trouble finding an equivalent to this. No, this isn't how it's always done. This isn't how the sausage is made. This is not, both sides. Again, if you're a conservative, do not comment below in the comment section. There's no point in it. The only reason people are able to lie out loud to people is you let them say something. Don't say anything. Look in the mirror. Say it under your breath. I believe this administration. I believe what they're saying about this. I believe that this is an image of people that should be censored because they're victims, because these parents somehow are being taken pictures with their kids in front of Bill Clinton. That's totally Epstein file stuff. And then someone will insist on putting, well, you don't know the context for this image. It's right there. It was a fundraiser, December 2003. You can ask the photographer, what else was going on there? What were you doing? I bet if Jonathan actually is still alive, he's going to get a ration of shit from a bunch of conservatives that are going to create credible threats against him because he produced evidence by accident, without knowing it, that proves this administration again lied, that the administration has egg on their face. This is another image. It's not the same one, I know that. But it's the same context. It's the same situation. Readers added context, aka readers told on whoever had created this, which would be the DOJ. The Department of Justice is actively involved in what Russians would call active measures. You don't say anything about somebody, you just imply it and let everybody's imaginations go through. Well, don't you remember that picture with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross and Bill Clinton? Yeah, it was Bill Clinton standing with two parents with their kids. It was not an Epstein file thing at all. And if you believe otherwise, you're lying to yourself. And again, it's really hard for you to lie to yourself if you're not allowed to say it to someone else. People don't lie to convince themselves of things most of the time. Most of the time, they're trying to convince other people. So don't let them talk to you. Don't let them respond. Make them sit there and stew in their own juices, trying to have their cognitive dissonance and dissonance happen at the same time in their own head. Drive them crazy. Or maybe some of you don't have any goddamn soul. This is your administration. You're soaking in it. Do you really believe whatever vague goal some of you have is worth pulling this shit? I know some of you don't give a fuck about anybody. Some of you care about some people. But do you care about facts? If you don't care about facts, then you can't scream that you're mad that Bill Clinton lied about having an affair on his wife. You can't. Because a lot of you are guilty of it. Do any of you pay attention to literally every damn day, some church pastor who claims to be a hyper-Christian getting caught and getting thrown in jail for the shit you're accusing people of that you don't have evidence for? Do any of you give a fuck? Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll all need it.